employee experience and Viva. And the two beautiful faces you see on the screen right here are Chuck Salvo and Sonia Clark. The brilliant Chuck Salvo is the Chief Digital Information Officer at Ovario Technologies. And a little background on him, he's leading the consultancy practice at Ovario Technologies. He's focused on ensuring client success through the strategic optimization, adoption, and return on investment of Microsoft solutions, helping businesses better leverage their data and improve business processes. He has over 20 years of Microsoft technology, consulting, and development experience. So you're in very good hands there. We also have Sonia Clark, who is the, as I like to say, encyclopedia of Viva, but specifically, she's the employee experience specialist, global black belt at Microsoft. Sonia is a passionate advocate for Microsoft's customers as they reimagine their employee experience with Microsoft Viva, a platform that creates work cultures that empower people and teams to be their best. With nearly 20 years of experience in sales and analytics across the financial service, tech, government, and nonprofit sectors, she is skilled in executive engagement, solution design, and business development, guiding the customer journey and translating data into business value. So you can see that we have our top people on the webinar today, and I would like to pass it over to Chuck to get started. So Chuck, it's all you.
Ian, thank you so much. So before we go a little bit further, a little bit about Ovario. We are a gold cloud Microsoft consulting company devoted to helping businesses achieve success by ultimately leveraging Microsoft's transformative solutions with Azure and O365. We are a gold partner in cloud platform and cloud productivity, and we have multiple silver competencies. We are also a member of the Content Services Partner Program. So we've been working with Microsoft for a long time. Myself personally, I've been working with Microsoft, this is almost embarrassing to say, since Windows 95 upgrades. So I've watched Microsoft grow and change from a desktop server company to a cloud company, and the stack of solutions that Microsoft brings forth today is really compelling. So for us as an organization, we have a couple of areas that we focus on. The first one is our modern workplace, which encompasses Viva, Teams, SharePoint Syntax, and OneDrive. You're going to see some of those technologies in today's demonstration. Further on, our next pillar is really data intelligence, leveraging things like Azure Data Estate, machine learning, artificial intelligence, Python, SQL, are really helping organizations make sense of their data and all these different pieces of data that are inside the organization. And lastly, our next piece here is app modernization, things like Azure Functions, web apps, Microsoft Graph. So really taking these building blocks of technology and furthering the solutions above and beyond what you get out of the out-of-the-box solutions with the Microsoft and Azure stack. A couple of our clients, some of you might recognize: Freedom Mortgage, Wolf & Company, Bancroft, Tree, Investment Metrics, Aramark. What's great about us is we're working with a bunch of different verticals. They could be financial, they could be life sciences, they could be retail, manufacturing. What's great about us is that with each industry and each vertical, we learn and we share that knowledge with our team and helps our organization become better across the verticals that we serve. All right, so why are we here today? Because human resources is under pressure to address the evolving challenges of hybrid work-life balances, right? It's a huge change. The pandemic has changed the way we do work. Hybrid work is here to stay. How do we get, how do we make this a better condition, a better solution for people, right? Because some of these challenges are people are burning out and leaving their jobs. Recent Harvard Business Survey, 85% of respondents said well-being declined, and 56% have said job demands have increased. Henceforth, we're seeing the Great Resignation. The grass is potentially greener on the other side. And that's a challenge for human resources, right? You spent a lot of time and money to acquire these resources and train them and get them involved in the organization, and they're leaving. How do we stem that? How do we get people to stay? How do we think about changing the way that hybrid work-life balance can be better for them? Another problem, inability to find and process information is leading people to become inefficient. Right? We have so many data sources today. Some of you that are from a standpoint of even being hybrid, from a standpoint of on-premise in the cloud, you've got network file shares, you've got SharePoint, you've got OneDrive, Teams conversation, all these different things. How do I find information, right? This is a big problem. The average worker spends up to 2 weeks a year finding and recreating information. That's a huge loss in productivity and creates a frustration and leads to frustration. Another problem, People feel disconnected from one another in the organization, right? The organization now is everywhere. It's in multiple time zones, right? Recent survey by Microsoft found 60% of employees feel less connected after shifting to remote work. It's a big problem for us. We need a way to get inclusion. We need a way to create community across all these different places that people are working. And knowledge and technology is changing too fast, creating skill gaps. I know myself, I'm the Chief Digital Information Officer, and I see what Microsoft does on a daily basis, and my goodness, the changes are so fast, right? It's no longer, well, we'll wait for the next version, next year there'll be a new release. A new release now happens every other week. And the new technologies are always evolving and growing, and this is creating problems for organizations. 79% of CEOs are concerned that a lack of skills is hindering the growth of their organization. So yes, these are big problems, but there's a remedy. Microsoft Viva, and that's what we're here today to talk about. We're going to talk about Viva. We're going to talk about how Viva can help you in human resources, and we're going to go through the 4 pillars of Viva. We're also going to talk about what else is coming forth for the Viva stack. All right, so the first one I'm going to start with is Viva Connections. This is really to help people feel connected, enabling them to stay engaged and informed. So a couple things with this. Viva Connections is a company-branded employee app in Teams. Really, our goal here is to bring the intranet into Teams. When we look at Teams as a solution, for us, it's that single pane of glass. One application to help users find all the information, all the applications, the collaboration, the communication. In the future, who knows? Maybe Microsoft one day might get rid of the operating system, and it might just be Teams. So with that, Connections basically ensures Teams remain cohesive, right? Providing one place to connect with news, conversations, and resources from across the organizations, and really allowing employees to feel encouraged to contribute ideas and share feedback through a customized dashboard experience, whether on the desktop or mobile. So with that, let's get into a demo of Viva Connections. So over here. All right, so I'm in Teams right now in the browser. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to click on Viva Connections. So you actually see the SharePoint icon. And when this comes up, this is our intranet. This is our Contoso tenant. So this is a fictitious organization that Microsoft has built us and allows us to demonstrate the technology. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what we're seeing here. So this is the landing. This is the intranet, right? But again, it's accessible right through Teams with one icon. So our goal here is the intranet is really the face of the organization these days, especially again, when we're talking about that hybrid work-life balance. Where else do you see the company but in the intranet? And the intranet is really contribution of all the different departments, right? So what we want to do is we want to have a great intranet solution to help users find information that they need. So this right here, we're incorporating news, we're incorporating videos, right? We've got events coming up, company and culture. And then over here on the right-hand side, we have our dashboard. So the dashboard is a really unique piece of Connections. If I click into this, I can actually go into the dashboard itself and really see all these little tiles, these adaptive cards that allow me to present information to my users. The great part about this is each one of these tiles can actually be customized based on an audience. So I can go in there and say, you know what, only certain individuals will see this. For instance, inventory, that might not be applicable to a frontline worker or someone maybe in the accounting department. Everyone would want to see the holidays, of course, right? But the great part about it is that this solution right here also works great on the mobile side. Because again, our workers are working everywhere, right? And we want them to stay connected. So over here, I'm just going to play this quick video to give you an idea of what that mobile experience looks like. You'll see over there, it's basically the same thing, right? It's a little bit more scrolling, of course, because our real estate is limited on the mobile device. But again, our goal here is in Viva Connections, which is again, embedded inside of Teams. I'm able to see my news feed, right? And see what's going on. And I can also access resources from the company. So again, enabling our community to stay connected. If we go back here to our homepage on Viva Connections, the other part too is you'll see this feed for Viva Connections. what's happening here is we're actually bringing in news and information from Yammer. So if your organization is leveraging Yammer, we're bringing in both those data sets into one spot to make it easier to, again, create community. Lastly, over here, if I click on the Viva Connections, you'll see over here my news and my sites. Again, making findability and navigation easier. That's what we really want. We want users to be able to find what they're looking for quickly and easily. All right, let's go back to our slide deck over here.
Hey, Chuck, one quick question that came up when we presented earlier this week was the relationship between the intranet site and Viva Connections. So can you speak to how those complement each other and that Viva Connections is not a replacement for the intranet site?
Absolutely, absolutely. If you're an organization that's, and I'm going to get a little technical here, if you're doing SharePoint Online, you have a modern site, you can incorporate that into Viva Connections. We are seeing a lot of organizations that say, we've got a great intranet, how do we bring this into Viva Connections? And at that point, we're seeing customers decide this is the time to revamp our intranet. Maybe they might have a legacy content management system, a third-party content management system, or even SharePoint on-premise. Now is the perfect time to move to SharePoint Online and get that connectivity into Viva Connections. All right, Viva Topics. Helping people find information by connecting them to knowledge and expertise. So Topics applies AI to identify knowledge and experts and organize them into shared topics. Think about topics as almost like the book of your organization, with a page for each part of your organization describing what's going on with that. And we'll give you a demo in 1 second. But the idea here is to allow people to find the information they seek more easily and quickly. So let's go back into our demo over here. And we're going to go over here to our topic center. So this is a topic center. It's going to look a little technical, but I'm going to walk through this pretty quickly. The idea here is that we have a name for our topic. We have when it was discovered, who was suggested people, and alternate names. What's happening here is that Microsoft is leveraging its artificial intelligence to reason over your content to find potential topics. You can create your own, but Microsoft's AI is smart enough to understand these things are potentially topics. And how do I derive value from this? Well, if I put my cursor over this, we have what's called the topic card. And what this is doing is it's showing you the name, the alternate name, and a quick blurb about what the topic is, as well as the suggested people and resources. If I click on details, this brings me to the actual topic itself. All right, so you can see, over here our suggested people, suggested file and pages, and suggested sites. Again, the suggestions are coming out from Microsoft AI. So when you look at this, this is a great solution for maybe cataloging your business processes or your product catalog, or whatever information that you need that you want to surface across the organization. If you think about a user coming into the organization, how do you train them about all the things that the company does? Well, again, Topics is really that book, kind of that manual of what the organization does. And the great part about it is if I go in here and click on edit, this is a SharePoint page. So without getting, again, too technical, I can go in here and customize this and add all sorts of features and functionality to further enhance individuals' ability to contribute. So if I go in here, I can actually go in here and add all sorts of different web parts, Twitter feeds, conversations, events, group calendars. And again, the idea here is this single page allows an individual to get information that they need. So let's take a look at topics actually in use. Right here, we actually have a news article. And we go over here and you can see we've launched the CVT 880, right? And if I put my mouse over it, now this pops up, giving us the topic card. So again, if you're new to the organization, you're not familiar with these terms, it makes it quickly and easily for you to find the information about what these terms are. All right. Next up. Viva Learning. Again, like we referenced before, CEOs are concerned about training and skill gaps and really investing in the organization so that people understand and can grow with the organization. So Viva Learning is a huge part of this. Viva Learning is the last part that I've seen added to before the other ones that are coming on board later on, but Viva Learning was kind of the end of the, we'll say, version 1 of Viva. And we've watched it grow quickly. So what's great about this is learning becomes a natural part of the day, right? It integrates into Microsoft 365, quickly enabling people to discover, share, and engage with learning, right? And it organizes and centralizes learning, including your own information, while giving the ability to bring in content from third parties. So it's really it's an LMS, a learning management system amalgamator. So let's go in here. Let's go back to Viva Learning over here.
And while you're pulling that up, Chuck, I will clarify as well that Viva Learning isn't meant to replace your learning management system, but really meant to complement that learning management system and bring that content as well as sync your assignment completion and the learner records back to the LMS. So it's a way to use that presence in Teams to really increase the return on the investment that you're making in all of that third party and in-house learning content as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a great solution for surfacing it all up, right? Like I can go in here now and I can search. So say for instance, I want to learn about Python, right? Python is a computing language. I can click on this and hit enter. And you'll see here there's 5,749 results for Python. That's a huge amount of content right there. And if you look here to our providers, you can see all these providers that are available. Right, there's LinkedIn Learning, there's Microsoft Learning, there's Microsoft 365 Training. Now, some of these are free content sources, including right down here, the Contoso one, because again, Contoso is a fictional company. You as an organization can surface up your own content inside of Viva Learning while bringing in others. Skillsoft, Saba, Pluralsight, EDX, LinkedIn Learning, right? So it's a great solution. And like Sonia had referenced, if your LMS is incorporated with this, I can go and search for my courses. I can complete courses in here, and that's going to tie back to my learning management system. So if I go back here to my teams, I'm going to show you a demonstration right here of this one. This right here is a Viva Learning tab inside of a team. And what's great about this is curated content now for the leadership team. So I can go in here and I can create curated content in any one of my teams based on my content sources. So I can quickly and easily surface up the content to me that is relevant to my other coworkers and make it easy for them to find things. I can even go into the content itself and I can recommend it, I can bookmark it, right? And I can also see related content. So to me, Viva Learning is a great thing. Our organization, when we're implementing a modern workplace experience, we're implementing Viva Learning as part of that to teach users how to use these new tools. It's a very natural fit. All right. Next up, Viva Insights. Help people avoid burnout and improve employee retention by balancing productivity and well-being. This to me is probably one of the biggest things that when we're talking human resources, Viva Insights can really help organizations. And why is that? Well, first off, it brings together analytics from across your organization, providing data-driven and privacy-protected insights for individuals, managers, and leaders, right? So we're going to go through the different roles here. There's individual insights, there's manager insights, and there's business leader insights. So what happens here is in insights, it's gathering signals across the organization from everything that's happening inside of Outlook and Teams. So if you're sending an email, Viva's looking at who you're sending the email in. It's looking at the subject. It's not looking at the body, but it's understanding who you're collaborating with, when you're reading emails, when you're opening emails, when you're having meetings. So taking all these signals in basically allows us to get the insight into what's going on in the organization. So over here, let's go take a look at our Viva Insights. So this right here is the personal insights. So it's showing me what's going on in my calendar. It's reminding me to send praise to my colleagues. There's some content here from Headspace. It's actually asking me, how do I feel today? I feel great. But if I look, I can go into my reflection history and see what's going on. Back home, scrolling down, we have the ability to protect time and our actions for today. So if I click on Stay Connected, this is going to help me understand who am I working with. and basically give me some suggestions of making some meetings with people. While that's loading. Come on, demo. We'll give it a sec.
Yeah, I think the important thing to remember here is that for the personal insights, this is just surfacing up information that a user would already have access to in their Teams or their email instance, but using some intelligence to try and highlight some of those things that might fall by the wayside.
Absolutely. Protect time over here is another great feature. In protecting time, I know myself, I look at my calendar and many times it looks like a Tetris puzzle. There's sometimes just not enough time for me to get things done. But if I book focus time, which you'll see over here, if I book this time, though I shouldn't really be working at 3:30 a.m. What this is going to do is it's going to block off my calendar, but it's also going to automatically, inside of Teams, put me to do not disturb, with the goal being allowing me to focus on getting things done. Maybe it's research, maybe it's responding to emails, but I'm not getting pinged with a meeting request, a chat, so on and so forth. Now, if we go further on into the My Team over here, this now is the Manager Insights. This is giving me more information about what's going on, right? So if I go over here, I have my Group Insights, and if I click on Explore More over here, this is going to give me more information about what's going on. And again, you'll see over here, based on usage of Outlook and Teams. So it's telling me about coaching and development. 10% of your groups had less than 50 minutes of one-on-one time with managers each week. This right here is an issue. One-on-one time with managers is a key part of working in a hybrid situation. You no longer have the time of, okay, I see that individual, we see them in the office. Taking time to have one-on-one meetings is going to help managers work with their direct reports to help give them guidance. And if we click on the View Best Practices, it gives them more information. So the best part about this is by deploying insights, this is going to help your managers become better. And then if we take that to the next level and take it to my organization, we see more information about what's going on. Organizational resiliency, recommendations. If we talk about fostering innovation, operational effectiveness. And again, all this is giving us predetermined best practices, plans, reporting, and charts to helping us become better managers, better leaders to the organization. So what I'd like to do now is, lastly, we've got an inspiration library, and this is new. This is an addition to Viva Insights. And again, the Viva suite, like all of the Office 365 Cloud, is constantly evolving, adding new features and functionality. You'll see here, this is a preview feature, basically giving us even more information, trying to help users understand things. Are you ready to be coach? Great resignation is a culture shift, so on and so forth. So the last piece of Viva Insights is the workplace analytics. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand this off to Sonia, and she's going to show you some really amazing things about how this can help the organization, help human resources, help the organization even further.
Thank you for that introduction. I will share my screen as soon as I can grab control here. So oftentimes when folks are looking at those organizational insights that Chuck was displaying within the Teams interface, the next question is, well, how can I see this and kind of drill down into departments or understanding potential geographic comparisons or working group comparisons? How can I dig deeper and better understand and diagnose where there might be pockets of burnout in the organization or other issues to kind of explore? And just to reiterate, this is an important piece when we're talking about the Viva Insights data. This was the evolution of a product that used to be known and marketed as Workplace Analytics, which is why you still see some of that in the user interface here, is that the data is de-identified, and the best practice is typically to aggregate for those sorts of group level comparisons. So the goal isn't to identify individual level behavior, but to understand what are those behaviors and ways of working that might be common to highly engaged employees versus disengaged employees. If we bring in sales data from our CRM system and explore, internal to external collaboration, how can we understand what are those working habits and collaboration patterns for our top performing sellers versus the rest? And so that's the type of analytics that you can carry out with this data that is passively and naturally collected from users' M365 collaboration in email, calendar, and Teams. So what you're seeing on the homepage here of the analyst workbench is really similar to what we saw in that leader view. So it can be another opportunity to start to drill down and look at some of these trends to explore where to go deeper. And what we also offer is what we call our query designer. So over the last couple of years, our product group has spent a lot of time developing these templates for queries to be able to run on the data and light up Power BI dashboards that provide quick visualizations and some of that drill down capability against your organizational context data to be able to quickly summarize and assess ways of working, to be able to do some time-based analysis. So our ways of working tracker, given that you will start off with 13 months of historical data and start to accrue that new aggregated data on a weekly basis, you can actually measure that before and after delta of what behavioral impact are some of these leadership changes or strategic changes having on the way that folks are working and networking and engaging with one another. We also have dashboards that are focused on return to worksite planning, having an understanding of how collaboration and relationship patterns may have shifted amidst remote work, and also look at manager effectiveness and some of these sales outcomes as well, if you want to bring in CRM data to augment that picture. And then we'll finish off talking about one of our new partnerships with Glint that will be coming into the Microsoft Viva family. Glint is a people success platform, most known for their employee engagement surveys. And so we have a template that provides a way to bring the Viva Insights data alongside that Glint survey data to facilitate being able to answer those questions of, what do networks, what does manager engagement look like differently for our highly engaged employees, so we can replicate some of those best practices. So I'm going to bring us in here to an example view from that ways of working assessment. This ways of working assessment is a common point of entry for our customers and our partners to help customers really see the value of the data and start to get some initial assessment to inform deeper diagnostics into potential burnout in the organization. So this is a question that lots of companies are paying attention to now. How can I understand those early warning signs of potential burnout that might be itself an early indicator of attrition? And so we can look at two different metrics coming out of Viva Insights, being the average collaboration hours that is going to be summed over your email, calendar, and Teams activity, as well as the average span of your work week. So if you think about kind of your first in and your last out activity of sending a chat, sending an email, participating in a meeting, where we might start to get concerned is where we see high numbers for that average work week span alongside high numbers for that average collaboration. So this quadrant is going to be looking above a 55-hour work week span against over 30 total hours of collaboration. So the teams and folks falling in this particular quadrant might represent those that are always on. So that could be an issue of potentially having too much on their plate, so too much workload. It could be an indicator of maybe collaboration overload, where their calendars might be block solid with meetings. And so they're having to carry out their more focused task-related work into after hours in the evenings or on the weekends. And so these can be opportunities to start to dig into how can we maybe think about meetings differently in the organization by reducing attendance, reducing duration, thinking of ways to work asynchronously in document collaboration and in Teams. So this is a particularly helpful visualization that can inform some additional questioning there. And then one other view that I wanted to highlight here is related to the manager relationship. So Chuck was mentioning that manager one-on-one time, we know from our research to be really a key indicator of a lot of aspects of the employee experience. And we're able to measure that meeting data where the only attendees are the employee and their manager and categorize that as one-on-one time. So by looking at the amount of time that employees are getting one-on-one with another metric we call the co-attendance rate. So that's going to capture meetings where your manager is attending alongside you. And again, if we split this out into quadrants where we see high rates of co-attendance, that may indicate kind of a micromanagement culture, which could be disempowering for the employee as well as time consuming for the manager needing to sit in on all of those meetings. So we're really looking for more of that coaching relationship where you have high rates of one-on-one time with your manager and lower rates of that co-attendance. So again, using the data to inform some of these cultural indicators to help also inform how employees and managers can be better supported in their pursuit of improved employee experience. And I'll touch quickly on the sales effectiveness dashboard. So this is illustrating one of the views you might produce if you were to bring in CRM data through a CSV extract. So that could be from Microsoft Dynamics or another CRM system like Salesforce, and being able to augment that CRM data, which may sometimes be an incomplete picture of the touch points that are happening with an account, alongside that Microsoft 365 collaboration data coming from your email, your chat exchanges, and your meetings that are being held with customers or vendors if you're looking at other sorts of external relationships. So you can actually quantify where the time is going by accounts. Think about overlaying that to the revenue potential on the accounts or the pipeline, or simply in a vendor relationship, just the amount of time that is going into managing some of those vendor relationships and what roles are involved. And then last, before I hand it back to Chuck here, just highlighting some of the linkage that we can provide with our Viva Insights and Glint integration, facilitated through Power BI. So this is giving you a view of some of those common themes that Glint is measuring with their survey questions. So if we look at that theme of well-being, an example Glint survey question might be, my company takes a genuine interest in their employees' well-being. And then some of those metrics that you can align to get a better feel for what behaviors might be indicators of responses on one end of the spectrum or the other for that genuine interest in employees' well-being. So this is often a common point of analysis to get a handle on some of those leading indicators that are more immediately measurable through how people are working, after hours, network size, small group versus large group meetings, manager one-on-one time, versus what might be some of those lagging indicators that are being measured in surveys that might be carried out quarterly or annually. And with that, I will hand it back to you, Chuck.
Awesome. Thanks, Sonia. All right, back to our deck here. So Sonia had referenced there, Viva and Glint, and to me, I think this is a very, it's a great solution because it's really combining that perception versus, I don't want to say necessarily reality, but it gets a deeper understanding of their work habits versus their perception. And then next up, we have Ally. Ally is an OKR, an objective and key result application. And again, kind of helping along with this platform. This is something that's going to be integrated, I believe, Sonia, in the next 6 to 12 months is what we heard.
The expectation is within this, certainly before the end of the calendar year, but potentially sometime this summer or early fall.
Awesome. Yeah. And so again, another great piece of the suite that's coming along that's going to help the organization further along the goals, right? So you think about, some people doing performance reviews. Ally's OKR capabilities allow you to bring in an objective such as increasing sales and some key results, identifying what those are, rolling those up across the organization and creating visibility, but again, supporting it through the training of learning, through understanding what's going on with insight. So again, all these different tools and technologies are really working together and all around the employee experience, because that is really, when you look at Viva, that's what this is about. Increasing the employee experience, making it better, reducing burnout, and improving collaboration, communication, findability, all these great things, because the world has changed and Viva is really a platform to help you deal with that. Alrighty, so with that, hopefully this was of interest. We have two different offerings right here. We have an employee experience workshop around Viva. This is, we're going to cover the art of the possible. We're going to show you what can be done with this in further in deep dive into this, going over topics, connections, and learning. And then the other option is the Viva Insights workshop. Again, out of the possible and a deeper dive into Viva Insights. But the whole idea here is for us to spend time with you so that you understand what's available and really curate this experience to what it is you're trying to get done, right? So both of these are completely customizable around the Viva stack. Two different tracks, because the Viva Insights track is definitely different. It's complementary to the other pieces, but the topics, connections, and learning kind of go on their own. If you're interested, you can reach out to your Ovario rep or your Microsoft account rep, and we can go and help you get this set up. And with that, I'm going to hand it back to Julie.
Thank you, Sonia and Chuck and Ian, for a great presentation. With that, we're going to keep the chat open for a few minutes. If you have any questions, please pop them in the chat. And then that will pretty much conclude today's session. So please ask any questions, feel free. I do want to pull up one question we did get earlier this week that I don't think we quite covered, but that is the implications of privacy issues with insights, especially concerning the personal analytics. You know, what is, it's kind of a tough nut to crack. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Sure, happy to. So the personal insights that are included in Viva Insights are a part of typical Microsoft 365 subscriptions, and those are personal and confidential to the end user. So those get surfaced through the Teams application or through a briefing email, and the end user can also choose to opt out of those if you don't want to see that summary of your own data. Again, it's not providing data for anyone else's view there. When we talk about those manager and leader insights, that's a case where the data is de-identified and aggregated for that purpose. So there is nothing that's personally identifiable about the data record, and the intent of that product is to provide leaders, managers, typically an HR people analytics team, with access to that aggregated data to understand organizational trends to inform, improved practices around leadership and manager best practices as well. The product does maintain GDPR compliance, and we do have it in use with customers globally, as well as, for our customers that reside in European countries where they need to work through their works councils in order to get approval for projects related to employee data.
Perfect, thanks. And the other question we did get early this week was, is there a free demo for us to try?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, unfortunately, you won't be able to get access exactly to the demo environment that Chuck and our partners have access to, but that's something where you can get in touch with your Microsoft representative to get a deeper understanding of the tools, and there are options that we can explore there.
Perfect, thanks. Again, we'll leave this open another minute or two, but if you don't have any more questions, again, we'll be in touch if you have any other, things you want to catch up on. And again, the workshop information I put in the chat, there's 2 separate links to the 2 different workshops. So feel free to navigate there to the chat. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Nope, I don't see much activity, so I think we can call that a wrap. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
All right,
Thanks, everyone.
thank
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.